Two boys. Same street. Same school. Same city. One grows up to own the street. The other grows up to pay rent on it. Same start. Completely different ending. And here's the part that will quietly unsettle you. It was not talent that separated them. It was not luck. It was not even hard work. It was one thing. One single, invisible thing that nobody teaches you in school, nobody tells you at your first job, and almost nobody figures out until it is far too late to change the outcome. Meet David. David grew up on Maple Street, middle of the city, middle of everything. His family was not poor. They were not rich. They were the kind of family that described themselves as comfortable, which, as David would later learn, is the most financially dangerous word in the English language. Comfortable means you are not in enough pain to change, and not in enough abundance to grow. David worked hard his entire life. He studied. He got the job. He got the raise. He did everything the way he was told it was supposed to be done. And at 55 years old, David sat across from his financial advisor and heard three words he was not prepared for. You are behind. Not broke. Not ruined. Just, quietly, invisibly, irreversibly, behind. Meanwhile, on the same street where David grew up, his childhood neighbor, Marcus, had just purchased his fourth property. Same street. Same school. Same city. Same start. Different outcome. And today, for the next 12 minutes, we are going to show you exactly why. Not the version you have been told. The real one. Before we get into this story, if this is your first time here, welcome to Finext Wealth. Every single week, we take the financial questions most people are afraid to ask out loud, and we run the real numbers. No hype. No politics. No blame. Just the math, the psychology, and the truth behind why money moves the way it does in the real world. Kindly hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications, because what we are about to show you in the next 12 minutes is the kind of information that changes how you see every financial decision you will ever make. And if you already know someone who asks why they never seem to get ahead despite working hard, share this video with them before it ends. This one is for them. Now, back to David and Marcus. David and Marcus were born 14 months apart on the same block. They rode the same school bus. They played in the same street. Their mothers borrowed sugar from each other on Tuesday evenings. By every visible measure, they started the same. But there was one difference. A small one. So small that neither boy noticed it for years. David's father came home from work, handed his paycheck to the household, and the household spent it. Bills. Groceries. The occasional treat. Nothing left by Friday. Not because David's father was irresponsible. Because that was the system he knew. Earn. Spend. Repeat. Marcus's father did something different. Every single week, without announcement, without drama, he took a fixed envelope from his paycheck and placed it in a separate account before a single bill was paid. Not a large amount. $20 some weeks. $50 when business was good. But always, before anything else, the envelope. David never saw this happen. Marcus watched it every week. And neither boy understood, at the time, that they were receiving two completely different financial educations. One boy was learning how to spend money. The other was learning how money works. Fast forward 18 years. David and Marcus both land their first real jobs at 22. Both earning $28,000 a year. Both excited. Both are proud. Both convinced that from here, everything is upward. David does what feels natural. He rents a decent apartment. Buys a reliable car on Finext. Sets up his direct debits. And with whatever is left at the end of the month, he lives. He is not extravagant. He is not reckless. He is just doing what he watched his entire life. Earn. Pay. Live. Repeat. Marcus does something that, to David, looks almost strange. He rents a smaller apartment. He buys an older car outright with cash. And on the first day of every month, before rent, before groceries, before anything, he transfers 15% of his paycheck into an index fund. $260 a month. That is it. David thinks Marcus is being unnecessarily tight. Marcus thinks David is accidentally setting a trap for himself. They are both right. At 22, the difference in their monthly behavior is $260. Almost nothing. Over the next 33 years, that difference becomes something so large that it stops being about money. It becomes about power, options, freedom, and the complete absence of all three for the person who started wrong. Here is what nobody tells you. And this is the real answer to the question in our title. The reason the rich get richer is not because they earn more. It is because they own things that they earn while they sleep. Let that sit for a moment. David earns money. Then David spends money. Then David goes back to earn more money. David's entire financial life is a loop that requires David to keep showing up. If David stops working, the money stops coming. Marcus earns money. Then Marcus puts a percentage of that money into assets, index funds, eventually property, eventually a small business stake. Those assets earn money, which Marcus reinvests into more assets, which earns more money, which buys more assets. Marcus does not earn his way to wealth. Marcus builds a machine, and then the machine earns for him. Now here is where the math becomes genuinely shocking. David at 22 puts zero into investments. Marcus at 22 invests $260 every month. By age 35, just 13 years later, Marcus's investment account holds $72,000. David's investment account holds zero. But here is what makes compound interest feel almost supernatural. Of that $72,000 in Marcus's account, Marcus personally contributed only $40,560. $31,400 was generated entirely by the machine, by interest, by returns on returns, by money that Marcus never earned from a job. And the machine is only getting started. Let us keep following both men. David at 35 gets a promotion. His salary jumps to $55,000. He upgrades his apartment. He upgrades his car. He starts dining out more. The lifestyle grows with the income, exactly as we explored in our last video. Marcus at 35 also gets a promotion. He upgrades his lifestyle slightly, but he also increases his investment rate to 20% of his new salary. Now he is investing $917 a month. The machine gets bigger. David at 45. His salary has grown to $80,000. He feels successful. He looks successful. His house is nice. His car is newer. His children are in good schools. But his net worth, the real number, the one that matters, is barely $112,000. Most of that is the equity in his house. Not cash, not investments, not assets that generate income. Just a house he still owes money on. Marcus at 45. His salary is also around $80,000. His net worth is $840,000. Same income bracket. Same city. Same school. Same start. Net worth gap, $728,000. And it is growing every single year. Not because Marcus earns more, because Marcus's machine is growing faster than David's salary ever could. By the time Marcus reaches 50, his investment portfolio alone generates $22,000 a year in passive returns. That is almost 30% of his entire salary, generated automatically, while he is asleep, on holiday, at his child's school play, or simply sitting in the same kitchen where his father once put money in an envelope every Friday. The machine never clocks off. David's salary does. Now here is the question that matters more than any number we have shown you. If the gap is this obvious, if the math is this clear, why does David not simply start doing what Marcus does? This is the part of the story that most financial channels skip. Because the answer is not laziness. It is not stupidity. The answer is something far more human and far more difficult to fix. David does not invest because investing requires trusting a future he cannot see over a present he can feel. When you are living paycheck to paycheck, even on a decent salary, the idea of removing $200 a month from your life feels like a threat. Not a strategy. A threat. Because David has no buffer, no emergency fund, no financial cushion between him and disaster. So every dollar feels load-bearing. Pull one out and the whole structure wobbles. And here is the cruelest part of the trap. The reason David has no buffer is because he never started investing. And the reason he never started investing is because he has no buffer. It is a closed loop, a financial poverty trap that has nothing to do with income level. David earns $80,000 a year and still cannot comfortably invest $200 a month. Not because he cannot afford it, because his financial architecture was never designed to hold it. This is what the wealth gap is actually made of. Not greed, not corruption, not the game being rigged. Just two different financial architectures, built in childhood, reinforced daily, and compounding silently in opposite directions for decades. David is 55 when he hears the words, "You are behind." He sits in that financial advisor's office and does the math for the first time in his life. Not the salary maths, not the mortgage maths, the real maths. The maths of what he would need to retire at 65 with the same comfort he had imagined. He would need $1.2 million in 10 years. He currently has $140,000 in his house, not in investments. He would need to save $9,000 a month for the next 10 years just to get close. He earns $6,700 a month after tax. David does not break down in that office. He is too tired to break down. He just nods slowly, and he thinks about his father, and the paycheck, and where it went, and the Friday evenings that looked exactly the same as every other evening. And the one Friday evening, 3 houses down, where a man put money in an envelope before he paid a single bill. And David thinks, what if someone had shown me that envelope when I was 7 years old? What if someone had explained, not lectured, not shamed, just shown me what that envelope was doing 30 years later? What if somebody had shown me the machine before I spent 3 decades accidentally building a wall around myself? That is why this channel exists. So what exactly is the difference between David's financial life and Marcus's? It comes down to 3 laws. Not theories, not opinions. Laws of wealth that operate whether you know about them or not. Whether they are working for you or silently against you. Wealth Law 1. Assets before lifestyle. Marcus always put money into assets before lifestyle spent it. Not because he loved being frugal. Because he understood one non-negotiable truth. Your lifestyle will always expand to fill your income. Always. The only way to stop it consuming everything is to remove a percentage before the lifestyle even sees it. Pay your future self first. Every single month. Before rent. Before groceries. Before anything. If you wait until the end of the month to invest what is left, there will never be anything left. This is not a motivational statement. It is arithmetic. Wealth Law 2. Build the machine before you need it. The machine, your investment portfolio, your assets, your passive income, takes decades to build and moments to need. David needed the machine at 55. He should have started building it at 22. The time to plant a tree was 30 years ago. The second best time is today. Not next month. Not when you get the next raise. Today. Because every month you delay does not just cost you the investment. It costs you the compound growth on the investment. And the compound growth on the compound growth. The machine does not wait for you to be ready. Wealth Law 3. The gap is a teacher, not a verdict. The wealth gap between David and Marcus is not a moral judgment. It is not proof that David is worth less or worked less or deserved less. It is simply the mathematical output of 2 different systems, run consistently, over a long time. Which means the gap is closable. Not quickly, not painlessly, but permanently. David at 55 cannot become Marcus at 55. But David at 55 can begin to build a machine that means David at 70 looks nothing like David at 55. The gap is a teacher, not a verdict. And the lesson is never too late to learn. 2 years after that meeting with his financial advisor, David started the envelope. Not $260. He could not manage that yet. He started with $40 a month. Because $40 was what he could pull out of his life without the structure collapsing. And then 50. Then 80. Then, after refinancing one expense, 120. The machine was small. Embarrassingly small, by any measure. But it was running. And for the first time in 33 years of working, David felt something he had never felt before about his financial future. Not confidence. Not security. Direction. He knew where the machine was going. He had seen the chart. He had run the numbers. And even starting at 55, even with everything that had already passed, David's machine, running quietly in the background, would give him options at 70 that he never would have had otherwise. Meanwhile, Marcus, now 56, sits on the same street where they both grew up. In the house he bought, on the block his father invested in. He drinks his coffee in the morning and watches the market update on his phone. Not with excitement, not with obsession, with the quiet satisfaction of a man who built something that works while he rests. Same street, same school, same city, same start, two different envelopes. The reason the rich get richer and the poor get poorer is not what most people think. It is not greed. It is not the system. It is not luck. It is architecture. The financial architecture you build in your 20s, or fail to build, quietly determines what your 50s look like. And the gap between the two architectures is not measured in income. It is measured in what your money is doing when you are not watching it. David's money was sleeping. Marcus's money was working. That is the whole answer. That is the real reason. And now, you know it too. So the question is not whether you understand it. The question is, what do you do with it today? Not tomorrow. Not next month. Today. Start the envelope. Any amount. Any size. Just start. Because 30 years from now, someone is going to be sitting in a financial advisor's office. And the difference between nodding quietly and leaning back with peace is a decision that gets made today. If this video opened your eyes, please share it. Not for us, for the people in your life who are working hard, doing everything right by the world's definition, and still wondering why they never seem to get ahead. This video is the answer they have been looking for. Share it before this week is over. And if you are not yet subscribed to Finext Wealth, kindly hit the button and subscribe. Like and share because every week we bring you another story, another set of real numbers, another look behind the curtain of how money actually works in the real world. No hype, no shortcuts, just the truth, told clearly, with the numbers to back it up. We will see you next week. And remember, the machine does not build itself, but once it is running, it never stops.